Hi there, let's take a look at your submission for Chapter 3. I've already loaded on the screen the results from the My IT Lab system, and I've already downloaded a copy of the Excel file that was submitted. So I'm going to scroll through here until I can see the first indicator that a step was not given full points, and then we'll take a look at how to fix it in the spreadsheet. All right, so step 5 says in D6, enter the appropriate function, determine the difference in days. And oftentimes we're fooled into thinking we can just do a subtraction here. So I'm going to take a look at your cell D6. Here we are. And yeah, so we can't subtract days. It doesn't, the way that days are viewed numerically in Excel, it doesn't always give us the correct answer. And so in Chapter 3, we learned a specific function that's more accurate, which is our date diff, or date difference. So I'm going to delete out what you have existing in cell D6, and I'm going to type equals date diff, that is our function name, and then I'm going to put in the left-hand parentheses and add the input values for this function. So we want the date difference between B6, so I'm going to select B6, then I'm going to add a comma for the next input value, which is C6, and then I'm going to add another comma, and the third input value that we're allowed to put in this particular function is we get to tell Excel how we want the results displayed in years and months and days. So I'm going to put within quotation marks, you can see I have the double quotes there, D for days. I'm going to wrap up the function with that ending parentheses, press enter to give me the correct, this is what the system's expecting. So you might say, well, and then I'm going to fill it in the rest of the column, and you might say, well, the answers didn't change, and it's true, but we were taught to use the date difference function, and so I just need to see your ability to apply that function properly and in a working manner within a spreadsheet. So use the date diff function there. All right, let's go back to the results and take a look what's next for us. Step 8 says, in cell B21, enter a PMT function, a payment function, using the rate and the terms, good, and display as a positive value. All right, so let's go back to your worksheet, and I'm going to scroll down to cell B21. There we are for your PMT function. Okay, I can see a couple things that need fixing. So you have the correct, our first variable there is the rate, and you have the correct reference B19, except for that our loan in this case is going to be paid in monthly installments, so that our interest rate, the rate, needs to be calculated by month. So I'm going to take that B19 and say divide by 12, right? That's for every month, divide by 12. Okay, and then that's correct. Oh, you have an extra comma here. Do you see that? So I'm going to delete out one of the commas. The negative turns it into a positive result. Cross your fingers. I'm going to press enter. Great. Okay, so that should take care of that one. Let's see what our next step is. That was step 8. Step 10, in cell K6, use a VLOOKUP function. Okay, so we'll go and take a look at that one in the spreadsheet. And that's way over. I can see already it doesn't like what it's looking at here. I'm going to try to make the sheet bigger. Let's see if I can get this on the screen, because in the VLOOKUP function, we're going to reference room classifications down below. All right, and then on K6, so you have the proper function. Oh, okay, you have a good start here. We're just going to fix a few things. So I6 will not be an absolute reference, because notice here, I6, oh, in fact, and you don't want the whole thing. You just want to say, yeah, okay, I see. You just want to refer to alone I6. So what we're doing, the context of this function is we're renovating some rooms, and we want to know based on the amount of renovation. So we're going to spend this amount of money on a renovation. We're then going to classify that room as bronze, silver, or gold. So that's what we're saying to Excel. That's what the VLOOKUP is for, is we're going to say, hey, compare this amount of renovations in I6 with this table down here, and then return to me what the room is labeled as, bronze, gold, silver, and so forth. Okay, so we're referring only to I6. As we copy this function down, I6 will change to I7, I8, right? That's a relative reference. That's exactly what we want to have happen. Okay, I'm going to remove the rest of this. Let's build the rest of this function input by input. Okay, so the second input that we need to have is we need to refer to our table. Where is this information that we're comparing it to? And I've already sort of pointed with my mouse. Well, this whole table is down here. And in the instructions, it reminds us that we're to use the name of it, which is called room classifications. There it is. So I started typing ROOM, and it pulls up the name. Do you see that on the screen? It's saying, hey, do you mean room classification? Why, yes, I do. So I'm going to press Tab on my keyboard to accept it. Because it's at the top of the list, in fact, it was the only one in the list, if I press Tab on the keyboard, it'll then accept it. And we want to use the name. All right, I'm going to add another comma. Here's my next variable, or my next input for the function. In this particular table, we only have two columns. I have the amounts in column A, or the first column, and I have the names in the second column. And now we have to tell Excel. Excel is asking, what do you want me to return to you? Well, we want the results that are in column 2. This table has 2 columns. We want it to return to us the information in column 2. And then actually you can leave it right there. The default for the VLOOKUP is that it's going to find an approximate match. So we can just press enter and see, and then, kind of eyeball it to see if it makes sense. Is 406,000 closer to 250 or to 500,000? We're going to call this silver. It's going to round it, right? It's an approximate match. And then I'm going to just fill that on down the line. And because I used I6, then that relative reference change. And because I use a name, the thing to remember about using a name is it is absolute, right? The name is this range, this table of cells. It'll never change. So the name works as well. All right, I think we have one more. Yep, step 11 says add the file name to the left of the footer. So let's take a look at your footer information, and there's many ways to do this. I'm just going to show you one way to do it. So I'm going to change the view down here. Oops, if I can get this on the screen. This second button is called page layout. So I'm going to click that second button. And again, if you have a different way that you like to go to the footer, use whatever method you like. It's exactly the same thing in the end. All right, and then I got to scroll over a little bit. I can't see your footer. There it is. So what I see, oh, interesting. File name. File name? What are we adding? Sheet name. File name. Oh, there's the difference. Yeah, okay, I had to look back at the instructions. You have the sheet name here. Do you see you have the sheet name in there? So I'm going to delete that out of there, and what the instructions ask us for is the file name. So very close, just make that one little correction, or, well, make all of these corrections, save your work, submit it to Blackboard, and then let me know if you have any other questions. I'm always here to help.